You know that you're getting old when right honourables look young enough to be your son. And that's the situation that I'm in now. Introducing the Member of Parliament for Inverness, Nairn, Badenoch and Strathspey, which is about half of Scotland actually. Please welcome Danny Alexander MP.
Well, thanks, Dad. It's actually 4 constituencies, not 1. Now, I got engaged in politics as a teenager in the Highlands with the great Liberal Russell Johnson as my MP. His liberalism, as mine, was based on the understanding and the belief that people do better when they work together. That is, in the end, I think, the fundamental difference. Nationalism is about building up barriers between peoples. We are about taking those barriers down. And in fact, working together has been the direction of human history over the course of the last 100 years and more. Barriers that have prevented people fulfilling their potential have been gradually removed. Just this year, that progress made another breakthrough, so that 2 men or 2 women can lawfully be married in any part of this United Kingdom. We should be very proud of that. Barriers between countries have been reduced or removed too. In Europe, bloodshed has been replaced by cooperation. And where does this cooperative spirit find its greatest example? Here, on these islands. Our United Kingdom is the greatest alliance of nations, economic, monetary, political, social, ever in the history of this planet, and we should not break it up. Now, of course, there is a vast amount more to do to achieve the progress we all want to see. And we will be less able to achieve that progress, so that every person has the opportunity in life that all of us on the panel have had. Because one of the consequences of independence for Scotland will be to severely weaken our economy, weaken our ability as a country to create jobs, weaken our ability to fund public services, weaken our National Health Service too. If you needed further evidence after Professor Ronald MacDonald's masterly presentation, just look at what has been said over the last 5 days. Last Wednesday, Sir Ian Wood, who is the preeminent figure in the oil and gas sector in Scotland, demolished the Scottish National Party's hyper-inflated claims about how much oil is left. Now, we all want to get the most we can out of that industry, but what remains is difficult and expensive to get to. And that means it will also bring much less tax revenue in future, much less than we get now, and much, much less than the nationalists like to pretend. Last year, in fact, we received £3 billion less revenue than the Scottish Government had predicted. Now, they accuse the Independent Office for Budget Responsibility of being pessimistic. But in fact, we received 20% less revenue than the OBR had forecast too. And this matters to all of us in this hall, because that gap is the money the SNP pretend will pay for public services in a separate Scotland. The money they pretend will pay for our National Health Service. So an independent Scotland will face a deficit double the United Kingdom's, much higher interest rates and declining oil revenues, so the black hole gets bigger and bigger and bigger every year. The IFS say an extra 6 billion cuts in year 1 alone. That's half the NHS budget. And that's before you add the costs of setting up the new state, the costs of the unfunded promises to cut corporation tax, the debt servicing costs that Ronald talked about, and the oil fund that would be the first ever savings account in world history paid for solely by credit card. Great Scottish institutions, some located here for 2 centuries or more, have said that they would have to move south of the border. Now, you think that such momentous news would give a responsible leader pause for thought. Yet all Alex Salmond could do was bleat on about brass plates. The only brass plate doing the round last week was the brass plate being nailed to the coffin of the economic case for independence. And this matters, it really matters, because it's about the jobs that will be lost in growing numbers as time passes. And it's about control too. Just ask those European countries that only had foreign banks, how much influence they really had when the chips were down. Yet in the UK right now, we have the strongest economic recovery of any major advanced economy, the strongest job creation rate of any major economy. We have worked so hard for that, yet Alex Salmond says we should run away from it all now. No thanks. And then we heard from the retailers, Asda, B&Q and others. They made the obvious point that in a smaller, separate country with higher costs, those costs get passed on to customers. In Scotland, rather than being shared across the whole of the UK, prices will go up. Now, Jim Sillars in return promised them a day of reckoning. A pretty outrageous politics, though I doubt John Lewis will be quaking in their boots at the thought of losing Mr. Sillars' custom. Pooling costs across the UK keeps prices down for every Scot. We should not walk away from that. A little over a week ago, the stock market valuation of Scotland's biggest companies fell by £2.6 billion, and that was off the back of one opinion poll. That's just the merest hint of what would happen if we vote yes on Thursday. And that matters to all of us, not just the companies concerned, because their success creates jobs for people and value for our pensions. We shouldn't walk away from that either. And of course, if our economy is weaker and interest rates higher, house prices will fall too. Why should we walk away when staying in the UK offers us the opportunity to build a stronger Scotland? We'll continue, for example, to enjoy the benefits of one of the strongest, most secure, most trusted units of exchange in the world, the pound sterling. On no issue is the weakness of the nationalist economic case more clearly demonstrated than in their failure to set out any credible plan whatsoever for what our currency would be in the future. Now, folks, I have in my hand here, this is the new pound coin. This will come into circulation in 2017. I don't want to be the only Scot ever to have held this coin in my hand as the currency of my country. I want that for all of you too, and that's why we must say no thanks on Thursday. So staying together means we'll build a stronger economy. We stay part of a strong UK economic recovery, which means more jobs for our young people. And we'll have a stronger parliament too. More powers are guaranteed, quickly and safely, within the UK when we say no this Thursday. And for over 100 years, my party has campaigned for a vision of a home rule parliament with a federal relationship in the UK. And that is on the table. In fact, it is just one vote away. The prize is a Scottish parliament that has control over our domestic affairs, is financially self-sustaining with extra powers to raise revenue, as well as more control over aspects of welfare and employment support, but within the safety and security of one United Kingdom. Now that is a prize worth voting no thanks for this Thursday, I think. Now, we all want change for Scotland, and things will change whichever way we vote. But I believe the stronger Scotland within the United Kingdom is the change most people want. It is change that can be delivered more quickly than separation, more safely than separation, and leaves us stronger than separation. Why should we walk away from the United Kingdom when faster, safer, stronger change is on the table instead? But of course, this debate is not just about economics or political structures, it's about who we are too. Speaking for myself, I'm a proud Highlander, a patriotic Scot, I'm a Brit, and a European too. All of those identities sit comfortably alongside one another. And I think many of us resent being forced to put one above all the others. I love Scotland, but that's why I want to keep the United Kingdom together. We've achieved so much together, produced so much together, sacrificed so much together. And let me give you one example of that. As a boy, I travelled back and forth from Invergarry to Fort William every day to go to Lochaber High School. So twice every day, the school bus passed something that for me symbolises, better than anything, what the UK means. It is the Commando Memorial at Spian Bridge. Some of you will have seen it. It commemorates the commitment and sacrifice of young men from Wales, England, Scotland and Northern Ireland who came to our glens to train for their roles in the liberation of Europe. Some of them made the ultimate sacrifice to protect the freedom that we will exercise on Thursday. The epitaph reads, "United we conquer." If we stay united, then I believe that working together we can conquer the many challenges and problems that we still face and build a stronger economy in a fairer society that we all want to see and in which everyone has the chance to get on in life. So on Thursday, let's say politely but firmly, no thanks.